Welcome back to Wrestling with Tragedy. This is episode 21, which means we are legally allowed to drink in the United States. Guys, it's been 21 episodes, and what a great journey we've had so far. We've been able to dive into a lot of detailed stories over the last 21 episodes, and here's to 21 more, guys.
I mean, you stole my intro from last week, but okay.
Well, that's all right. Well, I didn't do the whole cheers thing, but
Kevin, can I see that cup, because it looks like Bill Murray. I don't know why I keep seeing Bill Murray. Okay, now I see it. Yeah, from that distance, from further back, I was like, man, is that the Bill Murray? Where everybody puts a sticker on their truck. It's pretty cool.
So, guys, let's get into thanking our sponsors before we get into today's show. So, first up sponsor is A-Rock Designs. Now, A-Rock Designs is the company that you see around in all the Facebook groups, all the Facebook pages with all the custom wrestling cups. They make more than just cups. They make hoodies, T-shirts, keychains, you name it, they make it. Kevin's got a little slogan, which is, if they can ask to monogram your dog, they could do it, but they don't recommend it. But thank you very much for helping me out there, Kevin. Next up,
my computer froze.
Next up, out of all of our sponsors, is Wasif Championship Belts. Championship Belts. Every wrestling fan in the world either owns wrestling belts or wants to own a pro wrestling belt. If you want to get your own custom championship wrestling belt, find Wasif Championship Belts on Facebook. There's a newly created group. This maker is unbelievable. If you want to purchase one of their belts, you can contact either Kevin or myself, and we'll be able to organize that for you. And as I said, they make some great belts, guys. So if you want a custom belt or a replica of your favorite belt, these are the guys to go to. And also, I just want to take a quick second to say thank you to the Cicadas Band for their song Restriction, which is in the opening of every show. We appreciate all the work that those guys do to make some amazing music and for allowing us to have one of their songs in our intro. Also, guys, we are working on getting our Wrestling with Tragedy Pro Wrestling Tee store up and running, but in the meantime, head over to prowrestlingtees.com/wrestling review society and pick up one of your shirts from Kevin's brand today, or you can head over to MWA World, which is prowrestlingtees.com/MWA World for some of the amazing shirts that I have on offer as well, guys. But
I don't have any of his pictures in here.
You scumbag. But anyway,
thanks for the bits, Kevin. Thanks for the bits.
Thanks for the bits. Hard times, man. He's putting me on hard times. But guys, look who's going to be on hard times very soon, man. It's Ted DiBiase Jr., the DiBiase family. Man, they've been involved in some pretty sketchy shit. Brett, who was a former contracted wrestler to the WWE down at Florida Championship Wrestling. Ted DiBiase, him and his wife just had their house taken off them by the federal government, and it looks like Ted Sr.'s also been involved somewhere throughout this embezzlement of money, which is leading to his charity that he runs. But guys, look, reading into this and getting the information, man, were any else of you spinning the fuck out about this story?
Yes and
well,
no.
it's pretty.
I think it's a good day any day I get to cut Angel off, but seriously, and Angel, please correct me if I'm wrong, but the first part of this is just going to be an opinion, but Angel, correct me on the second part if I'm wrong, but in my opinion, the best gimmicks in wrestling always have a little bit of the truth in it, always. When you're able to incorporate your real life into your gimmick, it helps you sell it that much more. With that being said, the $1 Million Man gimmick was always one of the best. Turns out it's because it was true. He's a greedy motherfucker.
Everybody got a price.
Yeah, including a child's summer camp.
That's awesome.
It is shocking, but then again, it's really not. It's shocking that one of the most beloved gimmicks in pro wrestling, the $1 Million Man, the $1 Million title, the $1 Million family, well, now the $2.1 million family, as Piers likes to say. I just think it's hilarious, but it's sad.
Man, look, so Mississippi, and correct me if I'm wrong, is one of the poorest states in the United States.
only behind Sydney, Australia.
I said the United States. Sydney, Australia is in Australia, dipshit.
And I said, fuck Sydney.
Yeah, well, Sydney says fuck you. But anyway, so they had a state auditor by the name of Shad White said his employees identified 94 million in questionable spending by the Department of Human Services. Right, that's crazy. And that was including payments with no clear connection to helping needy people.
94 million.
Yep. A former human services director and 5 other people were indicted on state charges of embezzling about $4 million. Ted DiBiase Sr., his youngest son, Brett, who I mentioned briefly, was a part of the WWE. He was also involved in a main storyline incident involving Randy storyline involving Randy Orton, which we'll get into a little bit later. But so Brett briefly worked at Mississippi Department of Human Services, and he was indicated on charges of stealing, get this, 48 grand in welfare money. So Brett has pleaded not guilty, and authorities say Brett DiBiase was paid to teach drug abuse classes in Mississippi, even though he was in a luxury drug rehabilitation program in Malibu, California at that time.
Well, let me go.
But you know what?
Let me go and say this because I'm sure Angel will agree. Piers, you're not in America, so I don't expect you to really have an opinion on this. But I'm really not mad at this one. I'm really not. And reason being is there are certain people who do need to be on welfare. People who can't work, people who want to work but they're not able to. But majority of Americans on welfare don't really need it to begin with. Not to say that Brett DiBiase needed it, but if you're going to rip off anything and me not really give a shit, it's going to be the welfare system.
Well, you know, I'm reading an article here. It says DiBiase became a preacher after retiring from the ring and formed the Heart of Davis Ministry, which received just $5,000 in grants in 2013. But
that's
pulled
senior,
in,
right?
That's senior. That's senior. But he pulled in $271,000 in welfare money in 2017 when Brett was hired as a senior official at the Mississippi Department of Human Services by former director John Davis. Among the 6 people indicted in an alleged scheme that's stolen more than 4.15 million in welfare funds, DiBiase Group received as much as $900,000 one year.
Ooh, hard times.
Everybody got a price. but Brett was given $95,000 salary despite no clear qualification for his position, and reported using $48,000 on rehab for the drug addiction. So he was getting a salary for a qualification that he didn't have. Ooh, dollar bill, y'all. I love it.
The thing is, isn't that a governing agency? Like Department of Human Services, that is a governing agency. How the hell can the government allow
that to be my new stick, by the way? Just saying, it's not going anywhere, so get used to it.
But how does this happen in this day and age? And obviously, this is going back when, like.
So, well, it says here 2013 at the time.
So even in 2013, there was so much. Like, come on, man! Like, this is a state government, and they're only discovering this, and this is being exposed when, like.
On basically, this article came out in February 14th with the New York Post. So it's been good, and he's been under investigation for over 8 months. Brett,
but that's the thing. Now, Ted DiBiase Jr., who we all know from being in WWE and in Legacy, and as a former WWE Tag Team Champion, he and his wife were less than a week away from selling their house.
A $1.5 million home.
Yeah. When the federal government or federal agents delivered paperwork saying
the federal government showed up to their door, took their house, and said, "Thanks for the bits."
Thanks for the bits.
Well, yeah. I mean, basically, they were.
But that's the thing. So how the hell is now Ted involved in this? That's the thing I'm trying to understand. Like Brett has done it, but Ted Jr., like, how's he involved in this?
That's the weirdest thing. I mean, I bet you, I mean, if there's any type of fucking paper trail, I bet you they found something that money was given to him to probably put down on the house. And I'm just not saying that's what happened. It's just that they're not going to seize his house unless there's some connection to those funds, where those funds went to. If it was under a LLC, if it was under, I'm just, again, speculating, but it has to be some type of paper trail to I mean, apparently I'm reading here, like, some funds were used to buy luxury cars, sponsor a college basketball tournament, and hire family members. So, I mean, they're finding paper trails of where this money's going to. So I think the house is kind of connected in some form or fashion, because they ain't going to just jump on your house if there's no, you know what I mean? They're not going to take it.
Well, if they can prove you've been stealing money, they're going to do whatever they can to get that money back. And if that includes taking your $1.5 million home, they're going to take your $1.5 million home.
Yeah, but if Junior is not involved, but Daddy gave his son the down payment for that $1.5 million home to seal the deal, then that house is going to be on hold until they find out where all this. You know what I mean? They're going to get that money.
I don't know about Mississippi, but as far as the law goes in Georgia with stolen merchandise and stolen money, the law literally reads, accepting stolen property or property that you should have known was stolen. So that's a big loophole in Georgia law, is you should have knew that money was stolen, so therefore we could take your home now. You should have known the money you were given was stolen money. So now we're taking your house.
Well, they're going to probably work an angle where the dad's like, hey, he didn't know I gave him the money. My son is innocent, because like you say, you're going to take the bullet for your kid. So he doesn't want his son probably go through that hardship. I mean, I'm just going off the cuff here, but I mean, I can see that happening.
From everything we're seeing, they're pretty greedy bastards. He might throw his kid under the bus and sail him up the river.
Kayfabe is not dead in the eyes of the judge.
Well, I mean, if this does happen, man, he's going to be with a van by the river living. A van by the river.
But you know what? Ted DiBiase Jr., he left WWE in 2013, right? So he's been gone for a good 7 years.
Okay, Pierce, before you go any further, let me piggyback off that. What's so funny that he's talking about that? Because after he left, he did all these videos, all these documentaries about how he was being this pillar of the community, working with charities. You know what I mean? Like, and then at the tail end, this happened. So it's just funny how he just tries to paint
silver spoon right out of his mouth and shoved it up his own ass.
Yeah. Go, Pierce. Go. What you was gonna say?
He did try his hand at business once he got out of WWE, trying to finance an action film in Mississippi. And that film never got finished.
It was in Mississippi.
But according to the Clarendon Ledger, he was never an employee of the Mississippi Department of Human Services. But he did work with the agency on his lower of 16 program, which is a self-help leadership training program.
Yeah, they self-helped themselves to that money.
The jokes from Angel are going to be nonstop in this episode. I guarantee it.
It's awesome. Thank you, Stevie Richards, for bringing this to our attention.
Department of Services, thanks for the bits.
Thank you for the money.
But like, guys, like, this is like some insane shit. The fact that this has happened with a government agency, and now that they're able to sort of track down like all these little intricate workings, like, how does the DiBiase family get themselves so involved? Like, are they like?
Well, this is a very, very keen example of living outside of your means. I understand with the traveling and the hotels and the rent-a-cars and all that stuff. When you take all that stuff into account, pro wrestlers do not make as much money as people think they do. The mid-carders anyway. I mean, your guys like John Cena, The Rock, and Roman Reigns, and guys like that. Yeah, they're not hurting for shit. But when you get to these mid-carders, let's face it, Ted DiBiase Jr. was never a main event guy. So I highly doubt he was breaking the bank on his contract. But the thing I'm trying to get at is when you take these guys who have had contracts through the WWE, who have been there for multiple years, and we're making decent money. You give that same money that he had to any one of the three of us, we're living good for a couple years, if not good for the rest of our life. I mean, we still might have to go to work every day, but we ain't hurting. But like, no. we're gonna go buy a very reasonable house, maybe a car or two, put some of the money in the college fund, whatever the case may be. But this is an example of living outside of your means. You're making X amount of dollars, but you're spending twice that. So now, when you're no longer working for WWE, you still want to maintain that lifestyle. You still want to maintain that cash flow, and you try to, you try to replace it any way you can. And this is a big mistake we see a lot of people make when they're no longer getting those hundreds of thousands, $1 million contracts, whatever the case may be. They start trying to find money another way. And it always comes back around. There's this thing called the IRS, and they don't fuck around.
Wasn't the IRS tag team partners with Ted Sr.?
See, it was all foreshadowing. All of it was foreshadowing. All of it was Ted DiBiase was telling you what he was going to do before he actually did. It's long-term storytelling. The one thing WWE hasn't been able to do in how many years?
They've done it for the last 30 behind it. Everyone thought it was done and dusted. But look, that's the thing. Do we know for sure that Ted Jr. was spending above his means? Do we know that was the case, or was
I just picture Ted DiBiase Sr. doing the Vince McMahon line. It was me all along.
Well, apparently, Ted DiBiase Jr. supposedly net worth. I was trying to look it up. It's $4 million supposedly. That's his net worth, but that's not mean if that's not locked up in properties or any other type of real estate type of thing. Yeah. But you know what? But no. The one thing I'm trying to figure this out. The one thing I'm just trying to like rack my brain over, and maybe Kevin might put some light on it, or maybe Pierce can put a. What the fuck was Virgil in all this?
He was working the gimmick table at the Mall of America.
This is the one thing I'm trying to figure out.
A funny Virgil story, and I'm not trying to get off topic, but I go to this event called WrestleCade, and it's basically like Comic-Con but for wrestlers. They bring in a bunch of old time wrestlers, sign autographs, take pictures, kiss babies, all that good stuff, and then they have a wrestling show at the end of the day. So I'm going around getting my autographs, being a little mark that I am. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am a mark. Every one of us is a mark for something. I happen to be a mark for belts and myself. Anyway, so Virgil is sitting at his gimmick table selling pictures and autographs, and nobody is going to his table. Absolutely nobody. I'm in line at Ken Anderson's table. JR's right next to him. You got Mick Foley. Nobody is at Virgil's table. Virgil literally stands up, gets in front of his table, and it's $20 for a picture and an autograph. He crosses out the 20 and writes 15. About 10 minutes later, still nobody. He crosses out the 15 and writes a 10. Still nobody. Next thing you know, he's just looking at people going $5 for a picture and autograph. $5. Like, he's just money. He is a money hungry bastard.
That's and the sad part is, I mean, dude, he had it all. I mean, I would have been saving my money and making sure that my ducks were. It's just, and when you're that down, and again, I'm not knocking the guy. I feel bad for him when you have to really like just slash prices like one of those fucking like car lot commercials. You want this car? Knocking it down.
Take for example, Angel. You're a perfect example. Let's compare you to Ted DiBiase Jr. You were in the professional wrestling business for over 30 years, correct?
Yeah.
You were on a major network, or you were contracted through a major brand being ECW. You had a very well-known faction of guys with you. You were on TV, you were on main events, you were on the pay-per-views. You were in the business. You were one of the guys. Here you are how many years later? You're not in prison for embezzlement. You have a home, you have a car, you have a job, you're living well. I mean, I'm not trying to put your business out there, but when we decided to make this podcast, you had no equipment whatsoever. The next day, you had camera, microphone, computer monitors, everything. The point I'm trying to make is, even if you were a wrestler and you're no longer a wrestler, you can still live comfortably. You just got to know how to spend your money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm like a Puerto Rican Jew. I save my money. I hoard it. Like it's under my mattress. I don't. I mean, I ain't cheap, but I don't go blow my money on. Let's see what the TBICs. What's that verbiage? Buy luxury cars and sponsor college basketball teams. Just like, here you go, guys. Here's a couple.
Look, we all want a Lamborghini, but who needs a Lamborghini?
I don't need that shit.
Well, I'd like one, but I don't need a Lamborghini.
That's my point. I've got a 2005 pickup truck sitting in my front yard right now, and it works perfectly fine.
Dude, I even told my friends, like, if I was a millionaire, if I was loaded, I will buy me a 2005 pickup and just
wait. You're not rich?
Shit, I wish.
Kevin, we got the wrong Baldy.
He just walked out. Oh, God damn it!
It took me 21 episodes to realize I'm barking up the wrong tree.
Oh, Vito got the money, but the
Vito,
thing is,
you taking resumes.
But the thing is that if I had the money, then I would definitely buy. I would never buy a luxury car. I would definitely buy like a pickup, a nice pickup, and soup it up and put like $80,000 into it, like really hook it up. But I would never buy like. I'm just saying, I would never buy like a $1.5 million, a Bugatti or any Lamborghini because the maintenance is going to be fucking through the roof. So I'd rather just keep it simple if I wanted to.
I would put it to like this: if it drives, flies, or floats, lease it. Don't buy it.
See, my thing is, like Angel was saying, the upkeep on them is, and I know we're getting off topic, but you go buy a brand new tire for a Lamborghini. Let me know how much that tire cost you. You go buy a brand new tire for my 2005 Dodge Ram sitting in the front yard. It's about $150, $160. That Lamborghini tire is going to cost more than the payment on that truck.
Exactly. But getting back into it, so the DPRCs, man. So, Brett, who is obviously been the one in a lot of hot water, and, Ted, obviously, he's received payments from the Department of Human Services. What would this mean legally for Ted DiBiase Jr.? Like, he's just had the house seized. Could they come after him for anything? Could he do hard time for it?
Absolutely. One thing I did want to bring up about Ted DiBiase Jr., and this is something that I'm racking my brain about, and Angel, you can attest to this. Embezzlement of any kind is a federal crime.
Yeah, it is a federal crime. I mean, that's the thing. When you do anything that do embezzlement, you're going to be dealing with federal and government agencies in regards to IRS. I mean, how is that in Australia, Pierce? Is it the same thing?
It's more like the Australian Taxation Department. There's many different departments here in Australia, but for something like that, it'd be the Australian Taxation Department. It'd also be, obviously the Department of Human Services in ours, which would be Services New South Wales or Services Australia, or, depending on which state that you're in. But, Ted DiBiase, if they've found out that he worked with that agency, but legally, where does that stand? You know what I mean? Like, he's worked with them, but how long did he work with them, and what was he paid for them to do? Like, I know it was for his leadership, his self-help leadership program, but what does that mean for him? Like, is now, like, he's had his house seized. How long is it going to be before he gets his house back? If he ever does get his house back, but can he look at doing some serious jail time?
One thing what was the last thing you guys heard me say? I'm sorry, my Wi-Fi is acting up.
You said it's a federal crime, and that's where you broke up.
Yeah, it's a federal crime, and these are things that people do serious time for. Now, the thing I really want to talk about is DiBiase Jr. on a federal crime was released on a $500 bond. These are crimes you normally don't get bonds for. These are crimes that normally have thousands of dollars in bond. And Ted DiBiase was released on a $500 bond that he probably paid with stolen money. Angel, were you surprised when you saw how low his bond amount was?
No, I wasn't. I was kind of, you know what? I was surprised because I figured they would.
For an average Joe, would that surprise you?
No.
But you know what? Look at Brett DiBiase.
$500 bond.
I'm sorry. I meant sorry.
Like I know of somebody who didn't commit a federal crime. They committed a regular crime that they were later exonerated from, and they said the entire time they didn't do it, but their bond was over $10,000.
That's crazy.
And it was a state. It was nowhere near this bad, and his bond was like $10 to $15,000, and DiBiase's for a federal crime is $500.
But that's like Brett DiBiase was arrested for following the discovery of a massive embezzlement scandal. So, how much, like 94 million they originally said was found, and other people were arrested and charged. But, look at Brett DiBiase. Like, he was a guy that was on his way through the WWE ranks at one stage. He was actually an FCW tag team champion with Curtis Axel, who was the son of Kurt Hennig. Yeah. So, how did this guy then go on to be like a money laundering fucking fiend? Because it just seems like he's just gone in there and stolen from the one departments there to help the people that need it the most.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, like Kevin said, the guy is greedy. He probably just saw, remember, wrestling is all about angles, and he probably found an angle where they could, embezzle money.
That's some crazy ass shit, though, dude. Like, man, the thing is as well, it looks like all three, Ted DiBiase Jr., Senior, and Brett, are all involved in this. And that's the thing. It's like, the variety of charges and stuff that are going to be laid against them. How does this look for them? Like as I asked earlier, how much time could these three of them spend in jail? Or is it only Brett that you think they're going to really go after?
They're going to try to, because Brett, it looks like Brett's like, what I'm looking at is I'm thinking that DiBiase, the dad, is we're going to probably take the heat for his kids. Because like we said before, he wants to take the bullet for his children. But if the hammer's swinging towards them, it's going to be hard. I'm just trying to read.
I just want to say this because I think it's funny. We made the comment about Lamborghini tires earlier, and Angel actually looked it up. So when I got brand new tires on my truck, all 4 tires, it cost me $700. The four brand new tires on a Lamborghini, $20,666.70. Real quick side note: do you know how much my truck cost?
Less than that.
$134 more.
That's crazy.
$334 more for an entire vehicle than it was for 4 tires.
And those are the expensive tires too.
I've just come across this, guys. So this is an excerpt from the Mississippi Office of the State Auditor's press release of the arrests elaborated. So it states, auditors concluded after an 8-month investigation that the accused conspired to illegally obtain millions in public funds from the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families program administered by DHS, which is Department of Human Services. Defendants used a variety of business entities and schemes to defraud the taxpayers. The funds that were illegally obtained in this case were intended to help the poorest among us. The funds were instead taken by a group of influential people for their own benefit, and the scheme is massive. It ends today, said Auditor White.
And I'm just laughing because the reason why I'm laughing is because I'm looking at all articles and news reports, and it says, and this part is just the funny part. It goes, it was reported that the ministry had some money problems until they hired Ted's son Brett DiBiase as deputy administrator. So basically, like, okay, man, we're gonna do this hustle. I'm gonna get you right. And I know we're in money problems, but I'm gonna make it happen. And
I just imagine Shane McMahon seeing going, "Here comes the money."
That motherfucker came down the pulpit doing the dance. Money, money. I got you. I got you, man. I made it happen.
Oh my god! I gotta put my drink down. I almost spilled it all over myself. That's here comes the money. But I'm sorry, guys. Give me a second.
But in the real world, like, you would look at these guys and be like, and this is why it's so important for law enforcement and for governing bodies, whoever they may be, to really not take somebody's social status into account, because, and the reason I say that is because, you know, these are three people that you would look at and be like, these were world famous athletes. They were all on TV. They all worked for WWE. There's no way they would have money issues. You want to bet? Like I said, it goes back to living outside of your living inside your means, and they clearly were not doing that.
Well, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I was watching the documentary with Ted DiBiase where he was going through his past, how he, you know, the ministry and stuff. And I mean, looking at the house, and again, it was just in the background. I'm like, that's a pretty nice fucking house, you know. But I was just thinking, well, that's that WWE money, that DiBiase fund, you know. And I didn't think it had anything to do with the church. I just thought, I'm not saying that's what it is, but I just thought that was all WWE, you know, all his money that he accumulated through the years and all the stuff that he worked with WWE as an agent, that he just was able to live in that luxurious lifestyle. But if he was out of, you know, if he was broke, I'm not saying he was broke, but if he didn't have any money and he was hustling and just building up padding his wallet, then
let me ask you this, Angel. In the world of professional wrestling, let's look at Ted DiBiase Sr., right? So back in the day when he came into WWE, he was billed as $1 million man. You know, Vince was putting him up in
hotels,
hotels, the top hotels, the best restaurants, limousines, you know, and also provided him with some flash cash as well. Like, as one of the boys back then, you know, would you be sitting there going like, look at this motherfucker? You know what I mean? We're sitting here, we're fucking staying in fucking a Formula One hotel, you know, jamming fucking 4 dudes into the back of into a Cadillac, and this guy's getting a fucking limousine everywhere, you know, first class flights or private jet flights, money to just flash around, eating at the best restaurants. Like, how, like, dude,
so
how,
Claire?
Yeah, he was limousine riding, jet flying. You know.
Well, Ted DiBiase was doing it on Vince McMahon's dime. You know I mean, like, that's what's even crazier. Like, yeah, we all know how reckless that Ric Flair's been with his funds, but let's look at what it's been as far as for Ted DiBiase as well. Like, could it have just been like he started to live that gimmick too much? And, you know, I don't know what the financial state was of Ted Sr. You know, was he struggling financially? And is that where it came in for this thing? Because from what I'm reading here, it's saying that the family's influential. So could it be like he's part of the upper elite of Mississippi, and, you know, like, you know what I mean, the rich upper class of Mississippi? And then he's just going, how can I get more money? How can I be more greedy? Or how, like, that's the son's mentality. Like, you know what I mean? How do I get more money? Or maybe the son's just rotten to the core and just wants to fuck people over. You know what I mean? That's a very strong possibility as well.
Now, I mean, the thing about Vince is that you're right. You know, he wants you to live the gimmick, and I can see DiBiase. You know, when you're living the gimmick, you have to live the gimmick to the full tilt. I can see him eating caviar. I can see him eating the finest steaks at the restaurant. Vince wants you to live that lifestyle. You know, if you're living, you know, if he's pushing that gimmick. And you're right. Maybe he was just like, man, I love this lifestyle, man. I don't want to let it go. You know, I mean, caviar dreams and champagne wishes. You know,
let me just interrupt for 1 second there, Angel, though. So, I mean, if I was a pro wrestler back in the day, I would get
into... Which I doubt. Anyway.
Dude, I was just a baby back then. But, you know, if I was, back in those times, I go to Vince, go, hey, Vince, listen, I got this idea of a character. And I would pitch him, Val Venus meets Ted DiBiase, the millionaire porn star. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? He'll have like hot bitches just rocking up all around all the time.
Oh yeah, you know, I mean,
you know what I mean? Like, I'd be, dude. Now that would be the ultimate fucking. He'd be sitting there as one of the boys going, "Fuck this bitch."
I remember, if I remember correctly, Vito told me when he was doing the Toughest Man in a Dress gimmick. Yeah, you have to live the gimmick. He had to go to the airport in the gimmick. You know, when you had the guys with the kilts, I forgot their name. You got to
realize back in that time, the fourth wall was still very much intact.
Yeah. So, I mean, the guys with the kilts, I forgot the tag team. They were just rocking the kilts.
The Highlanders or the Headbangers?
No, the Highlanders, because he showed up at TNA in the audience one time. Yeah, it was the Highlanders. but they had you have to wear the kilts in the airport, you know. I mean, you had to live the gimmick. That was Vince's rule, you know. Thank God, I didn't do like it's funny. Back in the days, I was supposed to do. Tommy was looking for me to do the I forgot what's his name, the Arabic gimmick when before the September 11th happened, Hassan. He was
Muhammad
with
Hassan.
Muhammad Hassan,
yeah. He was supposed to be with Davari, but at the time, when after I left Puerto Rico, they were going to give me the gimmick. They were looking for me to be his bodyguard. Picture me at the airport.
You're the bodyguard for a man twice your size.
Yeah, I would have been his bodyguard. No, I was bigger back then. That's when I was on the gimmicks. But anyway, that's a different episode. But yeah. I mean, he was living the gimmick, man. He probably loved that lifestyle.
But that's the thing, man. As I said, it's like, who knows how much money they had or didn't have, but it's just to the point where, the controversy and what's happened here as well is like a governing agency which has had funds to support people that were in dire need, like, you know what I mean? Like families in need. And for them to sort of go through this, it's kind of like it's the biggest scumbag move in the world. You're essentially robbing for the poor to feed to the rich.
Well, wasn't Ted DiBiase Jr. like a camp counselor at like a child's summer camp or something like that?
That's what I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he had a summer camp thing he was doing.
And like,
let me look this up.
Like, here's the thing: if you, like I previously said with Brett, I really don't care if you steal from the welfare fund. Like I said, stealing is wrong, no matter how you look at it, no matter what way you slice it, it's wrong. But I tend to care a little bit less about the welfare system because, like I said, majority of people on welfare in America don't need it. They take advantage of a system.
Yeah, it's the same in Australia as well. Like there's instances where people are taking, advantage of that system, and there's the government does the best they can to try and weed those people out. But there's always people that are going around and doing it, and I think that the situation that the DiBiases have really found themselves in, it really looks like a bunch of hot water, and it's going to affect all of them. And where does this leave Ted DiBiase's legacy in the WWE?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm listening, but I was reading here about the kids fund, and it says DiBiase started his own nonprofit organization, the Ted DiBiase Foundation. As part of the foundation, individuals with life-threatening illnesses or disabilities were offered a chance to meet DiBiase at WWE live events, and further programs for youth leadership and community cause are being developed. And he also participated in programs as a leader of the Hart Davis Foundation. So he was participating in programs. So his name is probably in there, that might have led to them seizing his residence.
Man, it's one of those situations though, Angel, like, where does this leave on as I said, going back to Ted Sr.'s legacy inside WWE? Do you think this affects him? Do you think this affects his standing with WWE? Do you think that they're going to, like they did to Hulk Hogan, erase his memory for 5 years?
No, okay, let's go with this, Kevin. Now, we talked about this before in many situations, and Pearson, including you as well. Does this going to, strip him in the Hall of Fame?
No.
You don't think so? Due to the fact that he I mean,
it goes to the level of what he done. Like with Pat Patterson, we don't have to readdress that. We say it all the time. Yeah. Fabulous Moolah, same thing. Chris Benoit, if he made it to the Hall of Fame, he would probably be stripped. These were heinous crimes. This wasn't a heinous crime. This was a stupid crime.
White collar crime.
So,
yeah, but like Snooker's still in the Hall of Fame for the alleged, murder of.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it would. I don't think, because let's be honest, it doesn't come. If it were up to Vince, he wouldn't strip anybody of it. It's what the sponsors say, and I don't think the sponsors are going to make a big deal out of this.
Yeah. Yeah, and just to let you know, that documentary that I was watching is called The Price of Fame. Perfect title right now. That was the old documentary.
The thing is, man, like Ted DiBiase Sr., I think it could potentially hurt him. in WWE's legacy, if they do remove him from the Hall of Fame, it will be because of sponsors. It will be because, let's face it, WWE doesn't do anything unless it affects their pocket, and then they're quick to act, very quick to act. To me, I think that it just depends on which sponsors get wind of it and which sponsors, basically decide to, pull the rug out from WWE.
If you have a charity as one of your biggest sponsors, I could see it being a problem. But as of right now, I don't see it being that big of an issue. It is an issue. It is something that really goes into their questions of their character. But like I said, I think it's going to come down to what the sponsors say, and I don't think the sponsors are really going to give a shit that much. Even though they should, I don't think they will.
Well, no, I hear you. It's just there's so many things, so many angles, meaning like 1 minute they're like, oh, he should be stripped. The next minute, like the Hogan when he was tripping on his daughter dating a black dude, they were like, hey, he should be taken off the Hall of Fame. It was just so many.
But even when you look at that, racial injustice and racial inequality has been such a major issue and such a touchy subject now more than ever. In recent memory, anyway, obviously you go back to other situations that we're not really going to cover on the show because it's not our agenda. We keep this about wrestling. But with Hogan and what he did, it definitely hurt a lot more people than this is going to.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely do. I mean, saying racial slurs is not appropriate at all. And, what Hogan did and
fuck
stuff like
you,
that.
Nigga.
Whoa. Oh.
I could say it. Willy Wonka, golden ticket. Just kidding. No, but
there's really only one thing I have to say There's really only one thing I can say to that, Angel.
Booyah! Yeah, and he's black. Booyah!
Jesus. RJ, I apologize.
The views of this show does not reflect. Anyway.
Yeah, Angel does not share the.
Angel does not speak for myself or peers.
Nope. But look, let's look at the nitty gritty of this, guys, shall we? So, they've been caught. The embezzlement's been cleared. There's arrests that have been made. There's been properties that have been seized. How are they they've proven $94 million in spending that is unjustified. $94 million is a lot of cash. Like a lot of cash. Like, what could they have potentially been using the money for? Like, could the whole I'm a religious person, I am running a charity, could that be a front for something else? How much more investigating do you think that the government are going to go into this? $94 million,
single penny. If you've already found 94, like if you would have found like 10 grand or 15 grand or even I'd say as much as 50 grand, maybe they wouldn't push it as hard especially if they're looking into millions and millions and millions of dollars and all they found was about 50 grand. I don't see how that would, because I mean, that could be like PR dinners and, if you're bringing in guest speakers and you're giving them lodging or like putting them in a hotel or something like that. But when you get to 94 million,
that's a pretty big stake. That's a pretty big stake. 94 million is a massive.
So they're going to keep digging.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just reading. But now, again, I'm not familiar with, like federal crimes and stuff like that. I don't know what they do in regards to seizing and freezing your accounts and any assets, what they do in regards to that. So that's why I was just looking it up to see like what is happening now. But if they're investigating, there's probably a lot of the assets is frozen. Their bank account.
Especially if they're trying to recoup that 94 million.
Correct. So I don't know how that works. When they freeze your account, and how do you survive until they decide that if it's fact or fiction or true or false? How much can you spend? Do you get an allowance? Do you get like, here's just to hold you over until we figure this out?
I don't want to speak out of turn because I'm not a federal agent. I don't work for the FBI. I've never dealt with anything like this personally, but I will say that the word frozen means frozen.
Yeah.
So you're calling mommy asking her for a loan.
I mean, yeah, property, vehicles, all that stuff. All that stuff is seized until further. I mean,
Does that include credit cards?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
So you got no cash coming in, nothing.
None.
That's hard times.
I'm trying to look it up and see what in regards to what happens.
Is that happens if they seize a house? They seize everything, do they? They
seize your assets.
It's anything that they can sell to get their money back. Cars, house, belt collection, anything. Even if I got all of these, legal, like I already have all these belts. Let's say 5 years from now I start embezzling money, and these belts are all I have left. Even though I acquired these legally, they're still going to take them to try to recoup that money.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, man. It's these guys are potentially facing losing everything. Because, you know what I mean? How are you going to be able to get, like, what happens if they seize everything they can, but they're still, say, 30 million in arrears? Are they then going, like, they force them into bankruptcy, essentially? Then what happens? How do they, like, obviously, well,
you going to work at the chain gang, which is slang for prison, for $7 a day until you pay off that debt.
Shit.
Or at least that's what happens to normal people.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that they're going to be getting off lightly because of the status?
They already did. Look at Brett. He even in the report it says he went to teach drug rehabilitation at a luxury rehab center. You know what happens to a normal person? You are now an inmate worker at a jail or a prison where you're mopping floors and delivering food to other inmates. That's what happens to normal people.
He was being paid to work as doing that in Mississippi while he was in attendance of a drug rehabilitation center in Malibu.
Show me a normal person who gets paid to do that. It's normally mandated.
He was in treatment for doing it. He was in treatment for drug abuse, wasn't he?
That's what I'm saying. He was getting treatment, and at the same time, he was being paid to help other people. That's so insane.
Okay, so the only thing I could find is frozen accounts do not permit. When an account is frozen, account holders cannot make any withdrawals, purchases, or transfers, but they may be able to continue to make deposits and transfer into it. Put simply, a consumer can put money into an account but cannot take money out of it. I don't know why would I want to put money in if my shit is frozen. There is set amount of time that the account may be frozen. Freezes are usually lifted once the account holder satisfies the condition of the freeze. When a bank account is frozen, it may be because the money owed to another individual or business. So it's just like, it's kind of like your SOL until they make that determination. Like, they
exactly what you are.
Yeah, you're living off other people's. Like, hey, Kev, can you help me? Hey, Pierce.
The $1 million man is sleeping on somebody's couch.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, you're SOL until, hey, I'll pay you back once this is all done, type of thing, like it was all settled. It's kind of, I think you have to go to the IRS website to really dig into deep. It's just like, what are your rights and how much, like, are you frozen? Are you just asked out but it looks like you are.
But it's funny that you can keep making deposits into an account that you can't take anything out of.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why would I do that?
If you've got a job and you're getting paid, they're going to still pay you into the bank account that you've designated. What are you going to do? You're going to go
cancel the direct deposit and get a paper check?
Yeah. That's, in the States. In Australia, you can't do that. But, would you then be able to... What about if you created another bank account?
You look sketchy as shit.
What's funny? It says here that the IRS can actually freeze your account for up to twice the amount that is owed.
Mm-hmm. And just to go back to what Piers had said, when they freeze your assets or everything that you have, if you go open up a new account under your name, the second you open it, frozen, because it's under your name and it's your asset.
So even if he like, let's say, embezzled $900,000 and he free, in your brain you're thinking, okay, they're gonna just freeze $900,000 of my assets, in my bank account. They're doing it twice over. So you fucking, if you only have 3 million or 4 million, you're all that is going to be, a lot of it's going to be frozen because it's twice the amount. That's crazy.
If you are under investigation for embezzling $500,000, they can freeze your account for up to $1 million.
Fuck. That's crazy. I mean, I don't feel bad for him. I'm not saying I'm like, man, that's fucked up, but it's like, yo, you paying. I mean, you knew the cost, Yeah, everybody got a price. That's the price you have to pay, But
and everybody gets caught. But that's the thing. You're ripping off a government agency. Did you not think that you were ever going to get caught out? Well, this shit sounds like the dumbest fucking thing ever. Like it sounds like the most retarded, ridiculous fucking bullshit ever, because why would you do that to a government agency? You might get away with it for a little while, but after a while shit's going to catch up to you, and it fucking has,
because they're laundering the money. What they're doing is just laundering, and they have to find that pattern and how far that rabbit hole goes, and they probably thought at a certain point that the money was clean after it was funneled through.
It's also a cultural issue, and the reason I say that is time and time again, and we've said it many times in this episode, time and time again, we see celebrities get off with a slap on the wrist.
Wesley Snipes.
They get off with, hey, don't do that again. To where somebody like me or peers, we would be looking at jail time. We as a society have taught celebrities and higher class people that they are above the law, and that is where we made a mistake as a society. It doesn't matter. And as much as I'm a fan of guys like Jeff Hardy, how many DUIs? I mean, he went to jail for what, 27 days? Yeah. And he's had how many DUIs? The Usos, DUI. And the very next Sunday, they get the tag team titles at a pay-per-view. I think it was Hell in a Cell. They got the tag team titles. It doesn't matter what we do, as long as we as a society, as long as we are a body of people who says, okay, everyday people are held to this standard, and celebrities are held to this standard, and if you're worth $1 million, you're held to this standard, and if you're worth 100 million, you're held to this standard. As long as we do that, and we don't hold people account, this is what you get for it, we're going to continue to see things like this happen.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the coffin. You hit the nail on the head, and that's the thing. It's like people that are, as you said, upper class or the wealthy, the rich, healthy, wealthy, and wise people. They get off with a slap in the wrist, and you're like, "Don't do that again! Don't do that again! Now get out of here! You go on, just get out of here."
I mean, they are the ones that did it. They do need to be held responsible for what they've done. But I always look at everything. I always look at we call them contributing factors. And I think a huge contributing factor to this is letting them believe that celebrities don't have to answer for the dumb shit they do. So as much as I want to sit here and criticize the DiBiase family for embezzling money and taking advantage of a situation that they found themselves in, you have to criticize the legal system, the community itself, the society, the culture, whatever you want to call it, because we have allowed
we've allowed it to happen.
People to think world known. If you're world known, you get a lesser punishment, and it's taught all the way down from. And I'm on my soapbox right now, and I apologize, but it goes all the way down to like high school and stuff. Oh, the star quarterback. It's okay if he fails a grade or two because, we need him to win Friday's game. No, fuck that. You're held to the same standard as everybody else. And it starts at a young age, like I said, with high school sports, as dumb as that sounds. If you can throw a football better than anybody else, you don't have to pass that test. And it goes all the way up to celebrities and committing crimes. We have got to fix this situation at the lowest common denominator. And we have to teach our children and our young adults and in the future of this world that everybody's held to the same standard. And Absolutely. Until we do that, we're still going to see this problem happening over and over again. That's my soapbox. I'm sorry, guys. This is something that really bothers me.
And I learned, you just taught me one thing. If you could dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
I don't see that the society ever changing in that, and it happens in every single country, around the world. If you've got money, you get off. Like, you look at a place like, and I'm sorry to deviate off the topic at hand, but you look at a place like Thailand. If you get yourself in trouble over there, say for example you get caught with weed in Thailand, that's like almost like a death penalty. But if you're rich and you got money, you can get away with it. And it's the same with other countries as well, non-Western countries mainly. But, there's always a way, depending on the seriousness of the crime, though. Like, if you shoot someone in cold blood and you murder someone, straight out murder someone, there's no bigger celebrity. You were not going to be getting off with that. You were going to do some serious time.
Ray Lewis from the Baltimore Ravens.
You said cool?
I have no idea who that is.
Ray Lewis, he's the greatest linebacker to ever play the game of football. He's my favorite football player ever. He shot somebody outside of a nightclub, claimed self-defense, never spent a day in jail.
Well, that's something we'd have to look into. But I digress. So there you go. That's one proof of that happening. But
that was so funny.
I'm just saying in general, it's hard to really hide that sort of crime. But I think I'm not trying to go on my soapbox again. But there's two other NFL players, well-known players, very big in the game. One, it was proven that he committed sexual assault. Nothing happened to him. Multiple times committed sexual assault. Nothing happened to him. And another one poured bleach on his wife and child. Nothing happened to him. Absolutely nothing. That's odd.
This is a problem all the way around.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in a different class, you're in a different league, and you have the opportunity to get out of a lot more, and it's sickening, honestly. And I really hope that the DiBiase's, if they are guilty and they are found to be embezzling money, which looks, all indications point to that's the complete case and the story of it. I hope that they actually get the state of Mississippi gets justice.
Regardless of what happens, I hope this is a wake-up call for them and lets them know, look, you can't do this dumb shit.
You said it as well, Kevin. It's dumb shit. And as I mentioned earlier, it's like, how do you think that you're going to rip off a governing fucking agency, like a government agency, and think, mate, I'm going to take this for all it's worth. Not going to get caught. Like, it's just the most asinine, stupid fucking thing in the world. And I'm like, if I ever got the chance to speak to him, I would say, did you honestly think you're going to get away with it?
So yeah.
For the sake of not beating a dead horse, we could, but guys, your closing statements.
Angel.
I love it. I just love how fantasy meets reality, how it just, it just intertwines with each other. I'm just popping for it, because this is just something that the actual character, Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, would have been an angle in one of the storylines because of the way the character is. I mean, there's still more into the story in regards to, I want to dig deeper and see how far the rabbit hole goes with how much the laundering and how much their property is seized. I mean, I'm just looking forward into it. I mean, I'm just got grin ear to ear and stuff. I have a glass nose smile, without the knife mark. But like I said, I just think it's more to come, and I just want to see how this court case ends.
Absolutely. Like I previously stated, this is I'm not taking it.
Kevin's frozen, but I'll jump in and give my final thought right now.
Repeat that again, Kevin. You froze for a sec.
I was just saying that I think this is. I don't want to take anything away from the DiBiase's. They are responsible for their own crimes, but I do believe this is a problem we have with society in general. And until we as a society hold celebrities to the same, when we start holding the CEO to the same standard as we hold the janitor, that's when we're really going to fix these issues. Until that happens, we're going to see this still happen with wrestlers, football players, NBA players, anybody with money, anybody with a social stature. So this is a problem we need to fix from the top to the bottom. And like I said, you have to treat the CEO the same way you treat the janitor.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Look, my final thought, I'm going to remix Shane McMahon's song. There goes the money. There it goes. But guys, look, it's the rich get richer and the dumb get dumber by the clear side of it, and by the way that they benefited from it for a short period of time. Shit caught up with them. And as I said, it is the dumbest fucking crime in the world. You think you're going to rip off the government and get away with it? I just think the whole no way, son. But no, that is the most. It's just fucking stupid that they thought they could get away with it. Like, seriously, Ted, what the fuck did you teach your boy Brett?
But I'll be honest.
Like, is he one of the special kids? Like, did you put him on the fucking bus where he was licking windows, son, or what? Because straight out, that is fucking retarded. Well, that is the most asinine shit.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I hope. I mean, if DiBiase was smart enough, I'm not saying he was smart because he got caught. But hopefully he didn't have all his money in the bank, and he has like a little emergency safe in his house, in his dad's house, because they seized his house. But hopefully they have like some liquid cash in a safe somewhere that he could gain access to until this is all said and done.
I just hope he doesn't turn to hillbilly heroin.
So, guys, we want to thank you all for watching episode 21. Like Pierce said, Wrestling with Tragedy is now old enough to drink. So, thank you guys for watching episode 21. We'll be back next week with episode 22 on an episode that
is
going to be organized crime. We are going to be diving deep into the world of organized crime involved in the world of professional wrestling. We've been looking into this for the past couple of weeks. And to be honest, there's a lot of stuff. This is probably going to be that next week's episode is probably going to be one of our longest episodes, I think, Angel. Like, it's going to be ridiculous. I think we'll probably go close to 2 hours on it.
And you know what I think? I think the reason why Kevin is frozen is because DiBiase doesn't want him to express his feelings about what's going on. I think this is a scandal in itself.
Maybe we need to do an episode of Wrestling with Tragedy on Wrestling with Tragedy. He gets frozen.
There you go. Well, anyway,
I'll fucking freeze you like freezing my assets, bitch.
Thanks for the bits, motherfucker.
Thanks for the bits. But you know what, Angel? Like, and that's the thing. Like, we've given our final statements on this, but I just want to make mention to all of our audience members that we appreciate the fact that you tune in every single week to watch Wrestling with Tragedy. We aim to bring you guys everything in its rawest form. We try and present it to you as we find out this information, as we investigate these stories. So we appreciate every fan that watches it. Please make sure to like, subscribe, comment. Let us know your thoughts on any topic we're discussing.
Yeah.
And if you think that you have a topic that we haven't yet covered and you'd like us to cover it, put it in one of the comments. Go, hey, guys, I think you should cover this. We're very active there. You can also check us out on Instagram and on Twitter at Wrestle Tragedy. You can also find us on Facebook, Wrestling with Tragedy. You can find us on the Vince Russo Network on YouTube. Go and check us out there. And Kevin, take it away.
Unless she's going to disappear or something like that.
So like I was saying, thanks, guys, for watching this episode. I apologize for my internet issues. It will be fixed by next week's episode. But if you thought we've gone down the rabbit hole before, this next episode is going to take you so far down the rabbit hole and show you things that you didn't even know about, that we didn't even know about. So we're really looking forward to sitting down next week and getting into.
And as Kevin is on AOL and still on dial-up.
Amazing sponsors, A-Rock Designs, WASF Championship belts, and the band The Cicadas. With that being said, guys, we will see you next week with another amazing episode of Wrestling with Tragedy, available on Wrestling with Tragedy YouTube and the Vince Russo Network.